about the need that we often have to take a position, especially in the spiritual world or the spiritual path. Yeah. When I first started teaching more than 20 odd years ago, I remember that it was kind of fashionable then to be very non-dual, and that anyone who used the word me or I, or told any kind of personal story was considered not non-dual enough. And we even used to joke about the non-duality police, about how some people would check every word you might say, whether it was non-dual enough. That was the fashion at that time. Anything that involved any kind of personal exploration was pushed away. It was considered not the spiritual trend. That was the mental position that people were taking at that time. And it's not to say that non-duality was a mental position, but that was how it was being understood by many people at that time. And now it seems that the fashion, in a way, is it has swung to the opposite extreme, that it is now anti-non-duality, that now it's all about embodiment and trauma work and going into your personal wounds. And if you speak in too much of a non-dual way, it's considered bypassing. Spiritual bypassing is a common way to, in a way, judge or attack various spiritual teachers for being, too non-dual. And this, for me, just really highlights this need to take a position mentally. Because whether it is non-duality or embodiment or anti-non-duality or any other trend or position, it is always going to be a mental position. And this need for a mental position keeps us feeling in control, safe. It makes us feel like we know something, that we are someone who knows something, that we have arrived at some kind of understanding or state that we can hold on to, or we can feel like this is the ground under my feet. This makes sense. And we tend to use the trending or fashionable language to just repeat the position that makes us feel safe. Because the reality is that there is no permanent position that we can really land in. Non-duality, it is the fundamental realization of our true nature. It is not a mental understanding. It might be an intellectual understanding to some degree, but truly it is a full realization of the oneness of who we are, that there is no separate self. But it is not a position that we can land in and come to some kind of conclusion and rest there, thinking we know it now and we've got it all. And the same with embodiment and trauma work and this position against non-duality that many people seem to be taking now, this also is not a mental position. It is an ongoing exploration. Embodiment is, of course, absolutely important. It's all about the lived experience of non-duality, actually. But you can't have one without the other. And trauma work, of course, it's absolutely valuable. We have to look into our trauma to free some space. But this doesn't mean just because we are acknowledging our non-duality doesn't mean that we are bypassing our trauma. We need to include it all, embrace it all, because it is all part of the path. And each one of us has a unique path to awakening, this endless awakening. Some people have a sudden realization and then a gradual embodiment of that. Some people only have this gradual realization of their true nature and embodiment. Some people have a lot of trauma work that they need to do before they can realize their non-dual nature. So it is not even possible to take a real mental position anywhere with this journey, or in fact, indeed, in life, because everything is shifting and changing. Everything is so fluid. Everything is so alive and real. And it seems that this need to take a position is something that is quite a childish tendency that we all have done. We all know this need. We take one position and then later on we rebel against that like a rebellious teenager. We throw it out and we say, right, now this is the new position. And we might go on doing that, not even realizing that we're continually throwing out and dismissing what we previously thought was the absolute truth. But true growing up or maturity in this realization, in this path, is not taking any position and seeing that every position is welcome. Every moment of insight and realization is so valuable, and each one builds on the next. So even if you look back on previous insights and you can see that actually that insight was somewhat limited compared to the insight that you have now, but you wouldn't know what you know now without that previous insight. So nothing is to be thrown out. Nothing needs to be dismissed. Everything is perfectly unfolding in our journey as it must. True spirituality, true realization or awakening embraces it all. This is what no separation is, in fact. No separate me taking any separate position anywhere. No separate me that needs to exclude any part of myself on the human level and on the absolute level. It is all included, and every experience in the human journey is an expression of the absolute living itself in the human play, in the human dance of life, as this human wakes up more and more to its true nature, to her true nature, and lives it in each moment of this beautiful life. So there's no need to be anti anything. And if you do notice a feeling of anti or rejecting some part of life or yourself or the other, we can just feel into that, look into that with curiosity. Why are you pushing a part of yourself away? Why are you excluding a part of yourself? What happens if you welcome it back in and know that it is all part of you? Nothing is ever excluded, whether you like it or not, whether it's comfortable to admit it or not.